I want you to put yourself in the shoes of Mr. and Mrs. Riley, who are going through something that is so horrifically unimaginable, literally the worst thing that could ever happen to a human being, the loss of a child, especially in the manner in which they did. Imagine having that misery haunt you for the rest of your days, perhaps for every single waking second of your life, as I would imagine it would. Imagine waking up as Mr. and Mrs. Riley, trying to fight off every horrific memory flashing before your eyes. Every Christmas is gone. Every holiday is gone. Every birthday, every family, anything, Thanksgiving, any holiday, Easter, they're all going to be tainted, smeared, charred with a black cloud hovering over everything. Imagine just trying with every last fiber in your being to find some semblance of normalcy, sanity, after what has happened to them, and seeing this headline as you wake up and reach for your coffee cup. This is not fake. This is a real headline from the worst propagandist, enemy of the people media I think that's ever been produced. MSNBC, their headline today is Laken Riley's killer never stood a chance. You despicable, horrifically evil, monstrous human beings. The subtitle's almost as bad as the actual headline. For all the political controversy surrounding Jose Ibarra, the outcome of this trial was never in doubt. You heathenistic, depraved, lunatic asylum belonging, horrid, vile excrement. How dare you? How dare you, MSNBC? I hope your whole entire entity crumbles, as I'm so happy to report. I've got some, if there is such a thing as good news in this video, I've got some good news. I'm going to show some clips too. But first, this just absolutely made me literally scale the walls of my house. I can't even fathom what Mr. and Mrs. Riley, poor Mr. and Mrs. Riley, I hope they didn't see this. My hope, my prayer is that they didn't see this. I imagine they probably did. The slap in the face. How dare you, MSNBC? This is an abomination on levels we haven't ever seen before. Laken Riley's killer never stood a chance. You're taking the side of the murderous, illegal, criminal migrant that your beloved vegetable in chief Biden and your corrupt phony in chief Vice President Kamala Harris brought into this country willfully, voluntarily, giving them free health care, giving them free room and board, giving them free red carpet treatment, giving them luxury hotels, giving them food stamp, credit card, thousands of dollars in credit cards. And why? Because you knew you couldn't beat Donald. This is... I'm just so upset, my fellow Americans in this nation. This drives me mad. I've told my wife a million times, this is the same exact reason why we paid an exorbitant amount of money for the family car, because I have taken every security measure that I can, every precaution imaginable. I couldn't even begin to try. It would be so fraudulent of me and absolutely ridiculous of me to even pretend to know what it feels like. It is every parent's worst fear. It is unimaginable pain. It is unimaginable misery. It's the same reason I spent exorbitant amount of money on security measures. It's the same reason why we have an armed household. This is literally my worst fear. And I've told my wife 1,000,000,006 times, if somebody ever did anything to you or the kids, you better bury me in the darkest cell imaginable, because I will literally KILL the entire world. That's how nuts I am, and that is how absolutely crazy and the lengths at which I will go. Mr. and Mrs. Riley, if you happen to be watching, saying I'm sorry, saying I feel your loss, saying all these things, these platitudinous, these empty things, it would be an insult to you, and I would not do that to you. The only thing that I hope I could convey to you, if you happen to see this absolutely ridiculous, insulting headline, beyond insulting headline, this is a galactic insult to you guys. I want you to know that there are thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, I would dare to say millions, of Americans who absolutely condemn this garbage, this filth, and just want to say, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's beyond words. It's just beyond words. And MSNBC, you sorry-ass network, you propagandist filth, you should be so ashamed of yourself. And I hope you sue these guys too. I hope somebody sues these guys. I would love for everybody right now watching to share this first, because you're not going to see this anywhere. Share this with everybody you know. Not for me. Tap the thumbs up. Not for me. We need this video to go viral. We need everybody to see this, because if there is such a thing as good news, I have something to share with you. These videos, you viewing this, you watching and liking and sharing and commenting, has actually helped in some beautiful divine way to hold these networks accountable. Let me explain. So Comcast has threatened to sell MSNBC. The ratings at MSNBC have dropped over 50%, which is absolutely huge, that even Rachel propagandist Maddow has cut her salary by $5 million in order to quell the hemorrhaging that's happening over there. I attribute that wholeheartedly to you and me and other independent media organizations that are finally reporting the truth, that are finally reporting all the buried stories that they try to hide, that are finally calling these liars, these heathens, and holding them accountable, calling them out. It's you. You're doing it. And I truly believe this is not like self-aggrandizement or anything like that. You know, we've got over 100 million views. Think about this. Over 100 million views on this channel alone. Over 100 million views. That's not even counting the podcast, Rumble, Facebook, our other channels, X. Over 100 million views. You can't tell me that hasn't had some kind of a ripple influence effect on what glorious event took place, bringing our country back on November 5th. If there is such a thing as good news, I would never presume, Mr. and Mrs. Riley, if you happen to be watching this, I would never presume this would bring any, sense of consolement. If I can't imagine any consoling would be sufficient enough for what you're going through right now. But this is actually good news. It shows and conveys you can't pull the wool over our eyes anymore, corrupt fake news media. Trump was right about everything. Everything. He was literally right about everybody thought he was nuts. He's just a buffoon. He's just a clown. That's what they called him, right? They called him a fascist. They call us garbage. He's a traitor. He's a heathen, a threat to democracy. He's a Nazi. They called him everything in the book. He still won. Good still triumphed over evil. Yes, boy, you're getting really hard. What do you mean evil? That headline is pure, unadulterated, unabashed evil. You cannot convince me otherwise. You're siding with the actual murderer of Laken Riley? How dare you? How dare you? Shame on you. This is the same network. This is the same network that claims to be on the good side, the side of democracy, the side of joy and tolerance and diversity and equity and inclusion. Oh, is it really? Do you call this inclusion and joy? Check this out.
People are rightfully alarmed. They have a reason to be alarmed. And if you would vote for that, people may not feel so confident that they're safe with you. This is not crazy. This is legitimate feelings of fear of you and a feeling that you might not be someone they could trust. If this thing goes way south, autocracies go south real fast, and things get ugly, and people get asked to do things and turn people in and point people out and turn on them. And if you're voting affirmatively, gleefully for this, people might, may not feel so confident in you anymore. That's real, and you kind of have to live with it.
No, you're a psycho.
So if you think that you can vote for what people see as their destruction and then demand that they still are cool with you and kiki with you and have Thanksgiving with you, like, I think you're kind of missing the point of what people are upset about. They're afraid. And autocracy and fascism are things that are legitimate to be afraid of. So you may want to step back.
Voted for their destruction. Don't spend time with these people. They don't feel safe around you. If you voted for fascism, they have learned absolutely nothing from the election. Bill O'Reilly, I think, had a really, really good point. I just want to share this quick clip of him explaining why he thinks NBC is going to dump MSNBC and why he thinks ABC will dump the equally abhorrent The View. Check this out.
Comcast said, you two, we're going to have to try to mend some cliche fences, and you two are going to go in there and you're going to try to tamp it down. Because Comcast knew the next day they were going to announce that MSNBC is vapor. That is a huge meteor story.
Why is it vapor? Just because they're spinning it off and putting them in the... They're spinning off a bunch of brands.
There's no spin-off.
There is. It's a spin-off company.
There's no spin-off. See, you buy the propaganda, Cuomo.
Oh, okay.
See what I mean about
I'm just saying
people?
What's being reported.
All right.
But what do you know?
Yeah, I know, but why would you believe what's being reported? You want the real story? Here
Yes,
it comes.
please.
So they're uncoupling their word, Comcast, MSNBC from NBC News. That means MSNBC has no resources at all. None. They're not going to be able to pay these people millions of dollars, Rachel Maddow, whatever she's making. NBC News is saying, we don't want you around. Why? Because NBC News' numbers, Lester Holt and the Today Show, are catastrophe because half the country equates NBC News with MSNBC, and they won't watch. So NBC is desperately trying to save the mothership of information, and they have to throw MSNBC overboard. They're not putting anything into MSNBC. They want to sell it. So where's Georgie Soros now? Georgie's buying radio stations. You can get MSNBC for nothing. They'll give it to you. They don't want any more of this. Why? Because it's hateful. Not because it's so far left. The whole NBC Comcast hierarchy is far left. But it's hateful. They hate Trump. They hate people who vote for Trump. Everybody knows that. And you know what's next? The View. ABC News is going to have to cut ties with The View. And you saw that today or yesterday when Sunny Hostin had to read a legal statement in the middle of a segment. The lawyers get Whoopi Goldberg's ear and it said, we're bringing a statement in on a teleprompter. She reads it. So it is over for these far left networks. Done, never coming back. Dracula's stake in the heart. Who benefits? News Nation may, but CNN, which is on the ropes too, will probably get some MSNBC viewers.
Wow.
There you go.
What do you think of that? Well, I'm certainly not going to accuse him of not making sense.
What do you think of what Bill O'Reilly said? I think not only did he make sense, I think he was absolutely on fire, telling the truth with every single blazing syllable. I think that more and more people are turning towards real media, real subject matter experts. There's so many options now. We saw podcasts sway the election in ways that we never saw imaginable. Why? Because cable news propagandist media doesn't work anymore. Not only is it overpriced, overvalued, overestimated, but I agree with Bill O'Reilly. It's filled with divisiveness and hate. It is the bad, evil news. It's literally the evil news network. And you've got other people like myself, other channels like myself. And now you've got these great platforms like X, where Elon Musk has created this beautiful online ecosystem, the digital town square, which I have called many, many times the last bastion of free speech in the online ecosystem. And just to prove even further how legacy media is dying a very fast death now that the November 5th mandate has been put in place, listen to Stephanie Ruhle, back to MSNBC, have an absolute meltdown over X.
Elon Musk bought X and turned it into the social media arm of the MAGA movement. And we all sat there right in the middle of it during the campaign, possibly not realizing that we're sitting there like fat chickens, just getting attacked all day and just being part of this MAGA messaging. However, the election's over. Everybody's getting smarter and better. I'm not sure that the right idea is to leave Twitter and just go to Blue Sky, a friendlier place, because then we remain in our echo chambers. I don't think that you should necessarily stay in Twitter every day and battle it out and let yourself doom scroll of all the hate coming at you, but I want to see it. I want to read what's happening there, right? And so I think at least staying in those spaces is important because I want to hear the other things.
Eddie, not only is Stephanie Ruhle dead wrong, like they always are at this parasitic, evil propagandist network, the fact that she's so adamant that they have created this mistrust and distrust and they've been hating us, it just speaks volumes about their fear. It speaks volumes about how threatened they are that they are losing complete control. But she's absolutely dead wrong about X being this right-wing fascist conspiratorial network, because even CNN, watch this, CNN has given a proper analysis, dare I say, of the demographic on X. Check this out.
So one of the big reasons he bought Twitter/X is because he wanted to make it his own platform, remake it in his own image. And I think this really gets at it. Look at this. The party ID among those who regularly use X/Twitter for news. Back in 2022, 65% of those who regularly use Twitter/X for news were Democrats. Just 31% were Republicans. Look at where we are today. Just a completely different picture. Now it's basically split between Democrats at 48%, Republicans at 47%. And what I should note, Mr. Berman, is this new overall makeup matches the overall electorate far better.
Sorry, Stephanie Ruhle, you're dead wrong. Look, even CNN, your ally network, is saying that there's more Democrats on X than there are your so-called fascists and Nazis. So she's wrong about that, just like the legacy media is wrong about everything. The propagandist, woke, fake mafia media news, wrong about everything. As we wind down this video, I want everybody to just leave a small prayer, if you can, please, for Laken Riley and for all the victims of this heinous act by the Biden-Harris administration of flying these people in here, letting them through our borders, our southern border. This is the worst border crisis. It should be literally the greatest scandal in American history, costing thousands, tens of thousands that we even know about, which include Jocelyn Nungare and Laken Riley. But there's hundreds of thousands, probably more. There's hundreds of thousands of children missing. Dr. Phil did a special on the sex trafficking that's going on through this abysmal fentanyl cartel invasion. You know, we got gangs taking over cities. This should be the greatest scandal in American history. It's treason at levels we've never seen before. And yet they get away with it. It makes absolutely no sense. So please share a prayer in the comments. Let me know what you think of this. Again, if there's any molecule of good news that can come out of this, at least the apparatus of the lies, the real kind of governing body, the machine, which is the woke propagandist media, thankfully, thank God, evil is crumbling. Their evil empire is hopefully coming to a fast end. And it's because of you. It's because of you watching these videos, liking these videos, commenting on these videos. It's because of you. So give yourself some credit there. I give you a ton of credit, and hopefully we can just continue this fight, because it's not easy. It's not even close to over. Evil will always be there, but I take pride in the fact that I know that we're on the side of truth. I know that we're on the side of America. The pinned comment, show notes and description, is our free newsletter. It's free. Sign up for that. It's like your insurance policy, so you never miss out. And as always, may God bless you. May God bless Mr. and Mrs. Riley and all the victims of this abhorrent, abominable administration. And may God bless the USA.